story time.
Friars Hole story time.
Friars Hole story time. My first trip in a Friars Hole cave was in 1965, 45 years ago, with Lou Vicky and Bobby Nagy and a few other cavers. And we went in Memorial Day weekend, which was kind of early in the season. There was a lot of water pouring in. And we got to the top of the first drop inside the Friars Hole cave entrance. And Vicky wanted to rig, we rigged it with cable ladders. And Vicky wanted to rig it as far from the waterfall as possible. And so he went way out on this thin ledge, totally opposite the way people now go down. And he put down a cable ladder down there. Poor Bobby Nagy tried getting on that cable ladder. It involved a really long stretch of the leg. And she turned upside down and she was screaming. And we thought his rigging was absolutely terrible. And we had a big fight with him. We argued and screamed at him and said, "This is nuts. We're not going down this cave." We all stormed out and left. We never even got into the cave. We left him and Nagy and other people to go down his stupid rigging, which was way out. Well, after a while, we went back in with him. And the next time I went in with him, we went down the top drop, rigged it more rationally. The second drop is another, as you know, 30 or so foot cable ladder or rope drop. But he didn't want to rig it. He jumped across this canyon onto a ledge, and we thought that was pretty crazy. You go past where you currently put your second, where the bolt is and that second drop is.
Yeah.
Go a little past that down that open floored canyon and then jump across the other side. So we did that, and we went caving and we surveyed a ton of stuff down what he called the dune room, down the lower end of Friars Hole, big dry sandy floor trunk. And then when we came out about 8-9 hours later, we had to do this jump across again. This time we're tired and we're wet. And the jump is across and up a little bit instead of across and down a little bit. So that was sporting. So I never caved with Bicking in Friars Hole again. I caved with him elsewhere in Wyoming and other places, but I thought this man, he might be a PhD from Johns Hopkins, but rigging-wise, he ain't all that. A little thin. So that was my first experience with Friars Hole.
Wow.
And then we went away because we were caving in Monroe County with Hempel, and we were caving in Pocahontas County and elsewhere. And we didn't get back into Friars Hole until we found that rubber chicken entrance in 1976. We dug it open. It was a 10-foot drop and a 65-foot drop, and a couple hundred feet of canyon were in this big trunk, and we didn't know where the hell we were. But over the next couple of years, of course, we connected it all up to Friars Hole, and then to Canadian Hole, and Snagger's and Crookshank, and all that other nonsense. So, you know, it all got done actually in about 2-3 years. We had like a 30-mile system. It went real fast, thanks to work by Canadians who were working Canadian Hole, and the rest of us working further south in the system. So what else do you want to know?
What else do
Oh,
I
and
want
I
to know?
asked Bobby Nagy. A couple of us said, "Bobby, you caved at Bicking and Friars Hole, and you were going upstream for a couple of miles. You know, the way on, the continuation over to what we now call rubber chicken and the rest was pretty obvious. It wasn't a scary little crawl. It was a walking passage. Why did you stop?" She said, "We were tired. We were cold. We didn't have wetsuits. You know, we're in cotton coveralls. This is early mid-1960s. They just ran out of steam before they ran out of cave."
Yep.
So I was glad that we had the chance to make all those nice, friendly, happy connections. And then one of my trips into Canadian Hole, we went into Canadian Hole, me and a Philly Grotto guy named Ron Hubbard and Ron Simmons, and we got in and went down the 5 entrance drops into Canadian Hole. And we went down, we did some surveying. We went to Monster Cavern, we did a tourist trap, we did some cleanup surveying. And the way out was a rope that hung down into First Canyon, which is the main way into Canadian Hole once you get down the entrance drops. And we got back to the rope, and the rope wasn't there. There were Canadians in the cave, and they took the rope away. And they left a note for us. They said, "Our need is greater than yours." Oh, great. So here we are, in the cave, no way out. So we did this really long traverse around the Canadian Highway and Skyway into the Crow's Nest Room. The Crow's Nest Room, if you ever been there, is this huge room, a couple 300 feet across, with passages going out all over the place at different levels. And we tried this passage and it didn't go. We tried that passage, it was going downstream into, not the way out. So finally, we're sitting there. We'd been in the cave about 12, 13 hours. Now we're getting pretty cold and tired. Bob Thrun, of all people, pops out of a side passage. We say, Bob, how do we get out of here? He says, that way. He points to some little unobvious crawl. Never so happy to see Thrun in my life. Like, he saved our asses. So we found, we went around, we finally got out of the cave. So that was pretty nice. And what else do you want to know?
How about the story behind Two Time Pit? Why it's called Two Time Pit?
Two Time Pit. That was before my
that-
time. I think people found it and they got turned around and got lost and they came back to it again and they did it a second time and they didn't realize, oh, this is the same pit we were just at. And so that's why they called it Two Time Pit.
Okay.
I mean, a lot of this cave, as with any big West Virginia cave, there's a lot of history. Mawk's discovery was named after a guy named Mawk, who I never met. I never knew him before my time. And the people who originally dug open the Friars Hole cave entrance, I really didn't know them either. This was back in the early 60s. We weren't caving down there then.
Okay.
And I missed it. I'll have to watch reruns.
Well, okay, there's more.
There's more. Oh gosh, yeah, we'll cut. Yeah, cut and splice and.
What was the deal with the Canadians taking your rope? Why?
Well, it was their rope, first of all.
Oh.
We were using their rope. And you're in the Canadian highway up high, and here's the rope. It's a 30-foot drop. You just do a quickie rappel down into First Canyon and then go over to the base of the entrance drops and climb out. So it's sort of a down and up kind of a thing.
It's a shortcut.
It's a shortcut. And they took the rope because they were climbing elsewhere in the cave, so we just had to we couldn't drop. We weren't going to jump down 30 friggin' feet.
Right.
So we just stayed in the Canadian highway until it took us into the Crow's Nest room, and that's where we sort of got lost. And Simmons had done that trip once before, but the opposite direction. So he says, I can get you out of here. Well, he couldn't get us out of here because the law looked different going the other way.
Yeah.
So that ended that. Then there was a time when we dug open the northern entrance to Canadian Hole. To get to the far north end of Canadian Hole, the Ontario extension, you have to go through almost hell, which is like a 1,700-foot long crawl on a fault plane with a lot of breakdown and laying faces in the water and all this nonsense before it opens up again to Big Trunk. And we said, this is crazy. If we want to push the north end of the cave, we better get us a north entrance. And so we found this little blowhole called Radio Pit. And we call it Radio Pit because the Canadians were good enough to go to the bitter north end of the cave with a cave radio while we were on the surface, and we surface located, and they're about 115 vertical feet below us, and right next to where they were 115 vertical feet below us, lo and behold, there's this little 10-foot climbable pit, which we call Radio Pit after the radio location. So we went down Radio Pit and we spent several weekends just digging and shoring up and going down, 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 finally blasting through a tight little bedding plane, like a tight little squeeze to the top of the drop, went down the drop, and we didn't say way on. So the Canadians, Steve Worthington, the Canadians, went back into Canadian Hole another weekend. And this is a really long trip. I mean, this is tough. And we joke with them about, we'll see you 8 hours later at Radio Pit. Mm-hmm. And they went all the way through, and we dug our way down to where we were hoping they would be, and we put some smoke bombs down this pit in the hopes they would smell the smoke.
Okay.
And after a while, at the appointed time, they finally got through. They knew pretty much how long it would take them to get through there. And down through the breakdown underneath, we could hear them hollering up through the breakdown, "No more smoke, please! More smoke!" We said, okay. So they dug from below, we dug from above, we got them out. We were a big, happy family. This is great. We all went back up the Radio Pit entrance. So that's probably the first, last, and only one-way trip from Canadian Hole to Radio Pit ever. A Radio Pit is, I talked to the current owner, who's Craig Hall, who's in Pocahontas County. He's a caver. He used to do real estate. He says he was just in it recently. The cave is still open. The shoring that we put in 10, 12 years ago is still in place. And he's seeing passages down there that he thinks we haven't been in. So it ain't done yet. We can go back in the Radio Pit. And he was talking about Preaux with gypsum crystals on the floor that had been undisturbed, which tells me that maybe nobody's crawled there. And some domes with passage off above, so maybe we got a couple of bolt climbs to do. So like any big cave, you know, it goes. You know, and like Mike Futrell says, big caves don't quit, cavers do.
Yeah.
You know, you just run out of steam.
Yep.
And that's, you can drive to right below the entrance. The roads are open.
Oh,
And-
it'll walk. It's not a bad
You know, what is it, half hour to the bottom or an hour?
Oh, does it now bear? Oh, 15, 20 minutes and you're in the cave. It's
Well,
just...
to get in the cave, I meant to get from the top of the cave to the bottom takes what, half an hour, an hour?
Define bottom. Where's the bottom?
Where the Canadians, where you dug through.
Oh, that takes 15, 20 minutes.
15, 20 minutes, so there.
It's just
There you go.
easy entrance series stuff, you know, until you get down to the good chunk
And
on
Doug was saying, Craig was saying, it's not sleazy anymore.
Well,
Yeah, you get enough water through.
Water
It
washes
used to,
stuff over.
it used to back up in there.
Uh-huh.
So, and it was pretty muddy and yucky when we dug it, but supposedly it's dried out.
The digs and radio pit were the only part of the Friars Hole exploration I was ever on. I don't think I did anything before that because I was out west, and my story about that is one time we had we were using regular blasting, you know. We didn't know about microblasting. This was sticks of Tovex,
No
you
soda
know.
straws, no microblasting.
Right,
no
right.
nothing.
So anyhow, Doug had, this is what we were enlarging this little bedding plane rock tube to get into the last, it was actually the last step, and Doug had gone down there with his Tovex and mud capped it, I guess, I forget what,
That's how you did it.
and brought it back out, and then he connected the wires up to his little 6-volt lantern battery, and nothing happened, you know. It was a total dud.
Fire in a hole.
Yeah, so meanwhile I got out my voltmeter, which I had along. I had my multimeter, and I'm going to check the battery. And while I'm doing this, Doug's getting another stick of Tovex and another blasting cap, and he's heading into the cave. And I'm measuring the 6-volt lantern battery and getting about 1.5 volts, you know, because he packed it up with wet caving clothes from the previous trip, you know.
More is better. More bad.
Or bag, yes.
But it went off. We finally got it to
No, yeah, we got it to go off because you connected together a bunch of C cells from flashlights. And,
Whatever works.
right, it worked.
See, I'm not the only one that does
Yeah,
stuff
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Bring on the car battery. You know, whatever we can do.
Right,
We got it done. We got it done.
we got it done.
So we got 45 miles plus, and Brian and Sandy are still surveying. And the deepest point in the system now is where they've been surveying the bitter downstream end of the Friars Hole cave stream that they got back into by going through the sump down at the bottom end of Mark's Discovery.
But you guys already have video on all of that, with you guys telling about your stories in the lower end there?
You know what? The
We-
worst part is we have some photos in the sump. No photos, video, nothing on the other side.
Oh, in Waterworld itself.
Nothing.
We got a
Nothing.
field trip next weekend.
Nothing.
Yes, we need
Yeah.
We need a trip to take some pictures.
pictures.
Yeah, we do.
And we just got a new camera, so.
We did. So that's going to be for the next trip, basically, that we make it through back there. There's going to be a lot of photos taken.
I think there's kind of a drought here, isn't it, in West Virginia?
It dried out pretty well in June and the beginning of July, but not quite dry enough for long enough. We figured out that if we can watch the river gauges at Alderson and Buckeye, and if we have a certain level, if they get below that and they stay below it for about 2 weeks, then there's a chance the sump will be open. But we haven't quite reached that point yet this year. And we're kind of hoping there's usually a dry spell the end of September, beginning of October, that we stand a chance of getting in for a couple of weeks.
So we need babysitter for Ian.
Yep. Put Danielle to work.
The dry spell that we want is
Danielle's
the dry spell like we had in 1978 or so, which was the year of the drought wave. And the drought wave is the passage that continues bitter. If you follow the entrance stream in Snedeker, it's finally you'll come to a thing called Rick's Siphon, named after a caver named Rick back in the 50s and 60s. And if you get through Rick's Siphon, you have a couple of thousand feet of hands and knees crawl and stoop to a little next sump pool, which is a low pool. And I did this with Tom Miller, and we were beyond Rick's Siphon as far as we knew. We were at Virgin Cave. And we crawled and we crawled and we crawled, and then we got to this next pool, and then we got to a third sump, which we called Tom's Sump, after Tom Miller, who does a lot of his caving in Puerto Rico and elsewhere. And by this time we had already picked up the downstream end of the Rubber Chicken Stream, and we had the Snedeker Stream, the Crookshank Stream, so this is all the water in the cave going through these extremely low airspace places. And beyond that, the cave opens up with a great big passage, and which is called the Droughtway, after the great drought of '76, which we're hoping for again sometime this century.
You said 78.
78, 76, it's all lost in the mist of time. That's a couple of years among friends. 78, let's go 78. Because 76 is when we discovered the whole damn thing. And the Droughtway opens up into some very big rooms, and finally goes to a series of low passages, and the cave finally sumps. Kurt McGregor, I think, has tried to free dive the sump, and it stays sump. And to bring tanks in that far, dive the sump is really, well, you have 4 or 5. There are 5 near sumps to sumps before you even get to the terminal one.
Yeah.
And any of them could be closed at any time.
Actually, 78 was the year that the connection between Rubber Chicken and Crookshank flooded.
Yeah.
Because it was the fall of 78 when I went through.
So maybe it was
Patty and
77. Let's
Preaux.
split the difference.
Or 79.
But the point I want to make, these people ever stop talking, is you get to this huge room down at the far downstream end of the cave, just before it sumps, and 30 feet up on the left wall there was this big honking passage, big paleo passage. And the only people who have ever been to this passage were a couple of Canadians.
Okay.
And they went down and they threw a rope up and snagged it on a projectile, and they hand over handed up, and they got up to 30 feet, and they got in this big trunk, which is almost full of mud. It's like, imagine like a 20 by 20 trunk with huge mud banks. And so they're walking down several hundred feet of nice passage, but with these big dry mud banks, this old paleo trunk. And that is the only trip that has ever been made into that passage. Nobody's been back there since. It goes. It looks like it's going to go for a long distance. And so there's a hell of a lot of cave left to be done in Friars. It isn't done. It's just you can't get to some of the best stuff in the cave because of these stinking sumps. I think sumps, yeah.
And it's heading south.
It's heading south, yeah, right. The passage is heading south. And way to the west of anything known in the system. You've gone north and west, and now this side passage, I call it this upper level trunk passage, is going back south as far as we can see from the sketch map that they gave me. Did it end? No. Did it have airflow? Yes. You know, so.
Wow.
But it's not just that it's like a 6-7 hour one-way trip to get there. We can all do
Yeah.
that kind of stuff, you know.
Yeah.
It's that you got 5 sumps, and that have
Yeah.
blocked us for over 30 years now. That's the aggravating part.
And the sumps last time they tried to go through were gravel filled.
Yeah, that's the problem. So it's not just waiting for the water to drop. I mean, if you get gravel to the ceiling, now you have to dig your way through.
Yeah, that's the
Now,
trouble we have in the
One time,
sump
Patty
that
Ralph
we're
and
dealing
I
with too.
went around from the Rubber Chicken side, and we think we were almost down to Tom's Sump from Rubber Chicken.
You were. And we did that loop. We surveyed that whole loop. But you come
Okay.
out of the upstream end of Tom's Sump. You still have to go
Right,
through
you still
Tom's
have to
Sump.
go through
It's
Tom's
120 feet of low airspace like that. And the thing of it is it's very wide. It's like 50, 60 feet wide. So you can get lost out there. You don't see the walls. You're just in this little world of 2 to 3 inches of airspace that
Between
go,
pendants.
between, the water and the ceiling, the flat ceiling, and where's the wall? Where do we want to go? If we were smart, we would have run some
Flag
line
it,
through there or something like that.
Yeah.
So you have a guideline going through, but we weren't smart. What can you do?
They wouldn't have mattered now anyway.
Well, it could have been washed away. Maybe it's still
Yeah.
there. Yeah. So all we need is some bypasses. So
That's
What
kind
else?
of like what we're trying to shoot for in those call that sump?
The sphincter sump.
The sphincter sump, yes. Best way to describe it. It's all liquidy mud, right? Well, gravel and
This is the
muddy
sump you
and
go through to get to water.
water.
Yeah.
Yeah, find a bypass with these sumps. You open up
The bypasses are the dig the break down to the bottom of Barber's Room. And you end up in upstream water world, and downstream you go.
Yeah.
I mean, I make it sound easy, you know, but
Oh, it is. Just
you know,
have to get lucky.
we tried blasting the bottom of the avalanche room, which is like Barber's Room, but move further north, and it's all slip and sides and breakdown and stuff. But Barber's Room is the place to go if you want to get back into water world.
Yeah. Well, that one or the actually, if you go to the right-hand side, the P junction, the stream that there's a little infeeder dives down into the breakdown and hugs a solutional wall.
Yeah.
I think that comes out in the area we call the Photo, which is the downstream side of water world.
Okay.
We have the surveys from both sides,
Yeah.
and it looks like they line up.
Right.
Yeah, anywhere from 50 to 250 feet away from each other.
Yeah. Just gotta do it.
So, speaking of interesting, slimy little wet holes, how about Parker Mountain?
Parker Mountain Passage.
Yeah. Let's go walking past this gaping hole for several decades and never check it out.
No, it's a gaping hole. You're in the Friars Hole trunk. You just get in from the entrance series. You walk downstream for a couple hundred feet, and about 30 feet up on the right wall of the trunk, there is what looks like a passage. And it looks like an alcove, and that's why we ignored it all these years. Because there's no water coming out of it. You can't tell what it does up there. And Bill Storage and John Dander did a bolt climb to get up, and hung their rope there. And it wasn't an alcove. It was an ancient infeeder. Well, where does the infeeder come from? It was dry, but it was an infeeder. And we surveyed a couple of thousand feet with Marion Smith from PEG. And Marion was not a happy camper because it was just cold and wet and horizontal. So we surveyed a couple of thousand feet and came to a little pool, another baby sump. And Marion, for all his pissing and moaning, went through the thing and got to the other side and said it opened up. Well, the rest of us wussed out on him. And we had done enough surveying, thank you. And so we went out of the cave and down the rig drop and stuff. And then later on, Gander and Tom Shiflett and a couple other people went back in there. And I'm sorry if I forget people's names. And they followed the passage on the other side of this pool, surveyed about it. In the cave, the passage went to the west, swung around, and then started going northwest. And to make a long story short, they came to this horrible sand crawl. And they came out and they started digging in sand because they had airflow. It was about 20 feet wide and about less than a foot high, but sand. So they're moving sand, and they're moving sand, and they're moving sand. They did this for several trips because they were pretty motivated. And finally, at one old-timers, some years ago, they came back real late at night with this big smile on their face. They got through the sand crawl. They dug a little more, and it opened up. And they surveyed something like 4,000 feet of passage. Big passage. Which ended up under the next drainage to the west, Robbins Run, which is bone dry, and we've always thought there should be a big cave under Robbins Run. We still do. But it turns out that some of Robbins Run used to sink, and maybe some still does, and makes it all the way onto Parker Mountain, which is the ridge between Robbins Run and the main Friars Hole Valley, and which they call the Parker Mountain Passage, of course. And that gave us like a 1.5 mile extension to the cave, which was the last big sort of step jump in size. You know, you diddle along for years, a couple hundred feet here, a couple hundred feet there, and all of a sudden somebody makes a breakthrough, and boom, there's another mile. So that's what happened there. We still don't have, and they ended in domes under the hillside, and they're far enough back under the hillside, so I don't think it's possible for us to dig down into them, you know, for a through trip from Robbins Run over to Friars Hole. Not that we really need it or anything like that, but it's a very long and pretty unexpected side lead. Where you get side leads that are a mile long. That's
Yes.
nice.
Well, the other thing is we came across at the U-bend in Parker Mountain.
Yeah.
There's a little stream passage, infeeder, whatever it takes off there.
Yep.
looks like raccoon tracks back in there,
Yeah.
Yep.
which was
And
rather interesting.
and
From the
bugs, and started getting cave crickets again, and little gnats, and
But that all ended, didn't it?
We pushed it somewhat, but not real hard, because
yeah, if you were a little motivated, I'm pretty sure you could at least work at it a little harder and maybe
Yeah.
come up with something.
that
But
became
this was at
radio
the Friars
for
at
location.
the passage, right?
Well, it goes south and it bends to the west
It's-
and it goes to the northwest. Or
Yeah,
opposite
it's
on
right-
the bottom of
right at that bend.
U-shaped
Oh, at
passage.
the bottom of the U-shape.
There are leads that go up.
It would save you having to go through that horrible cold puddle.
What's a slime hole?
Yes.
So again, there's stuff to be surveyed. People just haven't gone back to do it. Is there still a rope hanging there?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, it should be. Took your rope down.
Yeah.
We re-rigged it, put up one of my ropes, and
Okay.
a suggestion of anybody doing that rappel, take a stainless steel rack, stainless steel figure eight, something, because I tore up a brand new figure eight in that
Oh,
drop.
really?
Yes,
Yeah.
It gets so
It just
gritty.
gets soaked with slime, basically.
Yeah.
Short drops.
Yeah, I'm thinking about picking up a nice stainless steel figure eight from Bruce Smith.
Okay, that'll last.
Yeah, I'm tired of tearing up
Yeah, I know.
anodized
You grew them
eights.
pretty good, right? Good.
Well, I think our little caver here is out.
Off to bed.
I'm gonna go put him down.
Okay. Do you need help?
Nope, I have him.
All right. So I guess
You did some of the early toothpick stuff, didn't you?
No, but I don't. I mean, Doug's the one that has all.
No, but you did it. You and Ron and Bob Anderson or somebody. You got through the bottom toothpick there into the passage there and made that connection.
Right. Well, it was because during the whole drought at that time, I guess it was 1978 or so. It was
Yeah.
really Kirk McGregor that did the breakthrough. I mean, he and his folks went, and I don't know all the names. I know Kirk was what spearheaded it. And toothpick for the longest time just ended at the bottom. And
Wipes.
I think people just thought that was going to be it for forever, but there's always been that sump, and then Kirk went through. Were you on that trip or not?
I was not on that trip, but we had heard that Herb Lager, who was an old-time caver from he did caving in Cass. He's still active in California, still caves in Mexico. But Herb Lager had found a way beyond the bottom of the 65-foot, 20-meter drop toothpick that supposedly ends the cave there. And he found a way up on a wall, did some climbing to more passage. But we didn't go that way. You didn't go that way. You guys stayed low with the water, and you did like the hang wire crawl, where you literally had to enlarge things.
Right. But Kirk was, I think, was the first one through with his group, and then everybody was really excited when Kirk got through, and we were trying to take advantage of the fact that the water was low for the first time forever.
Right.
So we went, and
Last
it was
time.
very, but it was really low airspace. I mean, it was, your head to the
That's the story of this
ceiling,
game.
and
You want to make a breakthrough, you go through some very low airspace.
6 inches or whatever it was.
Oh, that's spacious.
Yeah, that's true. It wasn't true.
I think the other thing with this cave is you always head downstream till you're heading upstream. Because that's what the lower end of Friars going through the sump.
Yeah.
It's you're heading downstream, you hit Waterworld, and you're going upstream.
That's right. That's right. A lot of the sumps are backwater sumps. You have a flowing stream, and it's you're coming in on the side, and it deposits material, and then you're not really in the sump caused by the stream itself. I mean, in the stream, you're getting through this flat water sump, and then you break into the stream, and you're okay. So it's tough. But the cave seems to end in a southerly direction on a fault, sort of a northeast-southwest trending fault at that T-junction at the end of Mark's discovery. And we still haven't, as far as I know, busted through that fault. It's still another half mile down Spring Creek. We haven't gotten past the fault. And that's the barrier. That's the real barrier.
yeah. I think there's a real possibility for the stuff that we found. you know, the passages leading out of the bottom of the faux dome.
Yeah,
You know, but again, you get into breakdown again,
that's right.
and I think it's a good shot. That's the lowest point we've
That's
got,
the lowest point. You're going down.
and there's really good air going through.
That's it.
And it's just a matter of, you know, you got to get in there in the right conditions and the right mindset.
Right. Yeah.
Well, the Canadians have almost hell.
Yeah.
If we find our way through down here, it's just going to be hell.
That must be hell. I know.
I have the name picked out. We just need the passage.
Well, you have a stream passage, you know, going downstream, but didn't Ken Prager go down there and got low or break down or something?
I guess Don Bennett went on the
Don. He was,
first trip. When we broke through to the other side, we did let's go for 20 minutes.
yeah.
Wherever we stop, find a good place, set a station, and start surveying our way out.
Yeah.
And that's what we did until we made a connection. And when we were setting the station, we let Don go downstream just a little bit further to see, poke around.
Yeah.
And he said the stream was still going. And it took probably 2 other trips before we found his passage again.
Again, yeah.
Oh, wow. Is that on?
Because we thought it was one place, it wasn't. That's when
Well, and that's when Ken and I went. We were hunting for it because the second trip in was you, me, Ken, and Greg.
yes,
And you and Greg went upstream to look at stuff. And Ken and I went to check
That's
Don's little
where it
passage out.
began. Yeah. Okay.
And we went in, you know, what's obviously the continuation of the stream passage down, and you just get this wall of breakdown. And we're looking around and we're poking around. We're like, this can't be right. This is not what he was describing where he went.
Yeah.
And we're looking around, and finally it was like, well, you know, we're not finding it.
Yeah.
And I kind of looked up, and there was a little passage that took off up to the one side, and I'm like, well, I know that's not where he went. I think it just wraps back around into the dome room again. I'll check it out just to make sure. Well, it brought me out about 15 feet higher up on the rubble pile,
Uh-huh.
and I looked up, and I went, the rubble pile and the ceiling don't quite meet.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah.
I'm like, hey Ken, why don't we go up? I'm pretty sure they just connect right where I can't see them.
Yeah. Right.
Let's go a little further.
Yeah.
Well, we went up. I don't know what the height on that is. 120 feet, something like that, up.
yep, we went up quite a ways.
And what happens is the dome does the ceiling does like a double
Yeah.
dip thing.
Uh-huh.
And so what you were seeing from the bottom was the first dip
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
up to the breakdown. And then it comes up again, and it looks very much like you have across, like a piece of trunk passage going across the top
Yeah.
with the side blown out of it.
Okay.
Except you've got breakdown on both ends.
Yeah. Right.
So we went up, and we got to the point where there was a climb I couldn't do. And Ken got up and could kind of look just a little bit, but that was about the time that Brian and Greg came back into the bottom of the room, and they're looking around for us going, where are you? And we kind of turned around and looked down and went, oh God, I didn't realize we were quite this far up here.
Yeah, right.
Maybe we ought to work our way back down. So
But that's not in the downstream end where the stream.
yeah, that's that room that downstream piece
Okay,
comes
this isn't
off
that
of.
big dome of yours. This
Yep.
is beyond that.
Yeah,
I
well, it
always
is.
thought that it was
It,
just stream passage. It got sort of full of, it got breakdown.
Nope,
Okay,
there's-
I didn't realize you went
that
far
that
up.
stream passage comes in, and then there's that big dome room, which we call the faux dome,
Yeah.
because it was a dome that's not.
Right. I know.
And that stream passage continues.
Continues, yeah, I
So
know.
the dome is just kind of like sitting on the one
Yeah, I
side.
understand that. Yeah.
So,
when
yeah,
the
this
stream
was all the
passage
way up the top.
continues, Then you go
Yeah.
back up again.
No.
No.
Stream passage is
No, the
actually
stream
low,
passage
low,
continues.
Low on the side. Yeah.
side.
But if you go all the way to the top of that pile of rubble in the dome room,
Yeah.
you get to what looks like a cross passage that's
Yeah.
just been, the
I've
side
heard about
blown
that.
out
You've
and
done that. That's a fake trunk, or if it's a trunk.
well,
it's
we don't
blocked.
know.
yeah,
Actually,
yeah,
it's
we don't.
at the stream itself.
Oh yeah, I
Going
think
down
so.
there.
I think so. You might get paleo passage up high, but
Yeah, which is okay. When you come to a sump, you take a few steps back, you look up, and you look for the upper bypass, and go over the top and back down again. It's the old Bill storage trick. It's happened a lot of times.
yeah. But then we went in on another trip, and that was the one where we actually started pushing the stream passage again.
Yeah, we didn't make
And
it too far.
we just-
Instrument problems and everything else.
I think psychological problems that day more so than anything.
Yeah, instrument and psychological. Basically, nothing was coming together. We me and our 100 some odd feet.
It needs another trip.
It does.
It needs several more trips.
It needs more trips, just like the Canadians pushed through almost hell for 1,700 feet to, through the breakdown of the fault. We're going to have to hope that we get the same thing at the south end and get past the fault that kills the cave at the south end. Bust through. There's nothing to stop you after that.
Nope. We just got to get some people.
Gotta get
I understand you have a story or three.
No, not really. Barb came and she was talking about this, and I said, Deck's the one who has it all in his head.
No, I forget it. It's been 30 years. I've got a lot of tubes of Hawaii now. I can show you. It's history. It's old stuff,
Well, I didn't work so much in Friars, so it was more like rubber chicken stickers too.
That counts.
It's the same story.
It's the system. It's all the same.
We're just looking for stories of trips.
My memory, of course, as I get older, is, but
We understand
no, I mean, I guess one memorable trip was when we did the toothpick connection, and it's like we started to say, oh God, for the longest time, toothpick had only been known to be a very small cave, and you can do the drop, and that's really it, because the sun had stopped everybody. But that, I guess it was that year, 1978, when it was really extremely dry, and Cooper Graydon's folks went in and discovered that they actually, holding their nose to the ceiling, could actually work their way along the summit. It was it was very cold, obviously, and quite a distance, but they actually were able to make headway. So I think a number of us were working on that. Myself, Bob Anderson, Bob Simmons, Patty Hoppus, I don't remember who else was and we actually did a trip once and we really thought we weren't going to get through, but we actually got through on the other side. It was really exciting because this cave that you really assumed you would never get far past, you actually broke into something, and it was really nice on the other side, all this beautiful stream-washed canyon. It was just great. And we went for quite a ways, and I think we did exploration at first and then went back to survey it. And it just kept going as this beautiful, beautiful canyon. And we actually hope that at some point we could perhaps make a connection into the rest of the system, but it seemed a ways to go. But we were hopeful because the passage was big, it was tall, it wasn't like you guys were talking about running into breakdown all the time, so it actually might amount to something. And we surveyed a number of feet, I forget, I think it was a couple thousand feet or something, this nice stuff. And we went back, I think it was like in November of that year, to see if we could make a connection. We weren't sure whether we would or not, but according to all the data and the survey, we thought if the passage continued and we weren't running into breakdown spots, that we might actually make it. So we went into the cave and did more surveying and worked our way, and then it started getting smaller and not as promising looking, but we were hopeful that maybe we could make a connection in some of the more breakdown areas of the rest of the system. And I think we were pretty much ready to give up because it just didn't seem to be going anywhere. We were getting tired, it was getting later at night. And but Bob Anderson, he's a real big push guy. You know this guy. He's like, and Patty and I were like, it was Bob, Patty, and myself, and we're like, well, I don't know, maybe we should come back another time and try. We wanted to survey it and not just scoop it. They kept pushing and saying, no, let's just try this, and we were going down little breakdowny things and squeezing through rocks, and it's like, oh, where's our nice stream-washed canyon? It's like gone. But pretty soon, we're just about ready to give up. Bob said, well, let's just try this one more passage. It was sort of like a passage down into what looked like some room below. And so we went down there, and then we were so excited because we saw the survey stations that were eventually found to be like rubber chicken, Cruikshank, Snedeker's Cruikshank rubber
bitter
chicken.
upstream end of the rubber chicken stream
Yes.
passage, because we surveyed up there into that low stuff and just ran out of steam.
Right.
And it was low and wet.
Yeah,
A lot of
miserable.
crawls and miserable. This is no fun. Not in
Yeah,
Mammoth
Doug
Cave.
and I and Vi Schweiker have done that.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
okay. Is that where we connected that?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Bitter upstream end. And we didn't know it was going to continue to toothpick. We just, psychologically, we're at the upstream end of the cave. It's
Right.
getting lower
And
and
it's
miserable.
far in and it's miserable.
Pretty far in. It's time for the cave to end. Yeah, well, it was time for us to end. The cave had other ideas, which is why I was glad you hit it from above.
Right.
Bob Anderson
But it was
kept
just,
going downstream.
he was pushing and it was just so exciting. I mean, the whole idea of connection.
Well, yeah, they added a little over 2 miles, 2.5 miles to the cave system. I was like, oh, this is nice. We'll take it.
But it was kind of, I don't think any of the three of us had been in that far, far, far upstream section. So we didn't really know, and it wasn't really clear cut how to
It's
continue.
totally unobvious how to
It's
go.
very,
You continue
it's very
down
inobvious, and we
middle of the
thought
system.
maybe we should just turn around and go
Go back.
back the way we came because we knew that we could do that.
Yeah.
But of course, that pioneer spirit, like, this is not going to get us down. We've got to try to find maybe we're messing around for hours in this spaghetti of passage and all that. But it was really cool because we did finally start to look at things, and as we tried numerous routes, it became more familiar. Like that, I think we know this. This is starting to look familiar because we've gotten out of the upstream.
Yeah. Now you're getting into the bigger stuff. It's like, oh, this is the turn off where we connect the cars.
Take 7
By
fingers,
that
please.
time you ought to know, yeah, okay, now we know who we are.
Right, and so we went out.
Only 3 more hours of cave. We're all right.
We went out
Almost
Snedeker's,
out.
and I think it was really cool because Gordon Mathis had stayed up, and I don't know if you were asleep or awake, Doug, but it was like about 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning when we got out. But Gordon was excited because we hadn't come out the toothpick way yet. So he's like, maybe they made the connection, maybe we made the connection.
Maybe
all
the
that.
track
So
also.
He had
Yeah.
That's true.
I hope they made the connection.
He could not sleep, and he said that he kept looking out and trying to see if he could see anything from the Snedeker's entrance side. And then he said that he saw these little pinpoint lights near the Snedeker's entrance, and he's like, "Yay, they made it!" or something like that. So that was really exciting. We were all excited about that. And I can't remember; it was like maybe 5 in the morning. But Gordon was the one who was really excited. We were already really excited. Gordon was just
Yeah, because
Oh, sure.
Gordon had basically stopped caving by then.
And this is the first cave that he
Yeah.
bought. I mean, he bought the property with the toothpick entrance sign, so this was sort of the original. We surveyed toothpick in 1975 or something like that. 1972. I remember that. And it was just a historic toothpick down the drop and upstream from there and nothing
not
beyond.
much.
Not much. A few hundred feet. Another nice little Greenbrier County cave. Okay, let's go down to the big stuff further south. And let's get down to Monroe County and the other big caves in Monroe County. So it was nice to see toothpick again.
So we were happy because we could add toothpick. I mean, it was already the Snedeker, Crookshank, Rubber Chicken, Canadian Hole, Friars Hole.
Yeah.
They had a big, long, complex name, and we could add toothpick. That was really, so we added toothpick as the 6th. I think the Canadian Hole everybody connected to it, I think. So it was really cool.
Staircase goes on that way.
Yeah, right. It was all these names, big, long.
About when did
We didn't have the longest cave in the world, we
about
wrote
when
for
did
the
you
longest
connect
name.
that?
I think it was November 10th, 1978.
So there, 2 o'clock in the morning.
It's probably connected to
About-
2 o'clock, so we
about
didn't get
2
out
in
of
the
the
morning.
cave till
That was the
it was
exact
about 5
day.
a.m. when we got out. I think it was like a 16-hour trip. It wasn't like unusually long, but it was
A routinely long trip, 12 to 18 hours.
for the Friars Hole system. That's long. I mean, it's long. I mean, you guys know that. I mean, like we did stuff in Roppel, we could do things for 24 hours, but it didn't feel like the same as 16 hours in Friars Hole.
Beating the body.
Yeah, it beats your body up.
There's a lot of body contact.
I remember, I think it was in '89, Stork took me into Friars entrance and we went down and headed down through Moss Discovery and all the way down to the T-junction. And he goes, "Brian, you want a little project? See a breakdown? Just get through that. You have 40 more miles of cave. It's 1989.
Yeah.
I'm still
40
beating
years
my head
later.
against the wall down there.
And it's still there waiting for you.
Yes, it is. Some people would say Tauruses are persistent. Most people would say they're bullheaded.
Are you guys both Tauruses? Or?
I'm Taurus and our little one's a Taurus.
Oh,
So,
I have my hands full.
I'm an Aries. I bought 2.
yeah.
Don't give up. What do you do?
And I'm a Gemini. It just depends on which of the 2 personalities you get that day.
It's great you guys are continuing to do work, though. We read about stuff on email lists and things like that.
No, we've had our highs and lows over the last 10 years. We put together a pretty good survey group.
We had a few good years where we had somewhere between 6 and 8 people, of whom you might get 5 in any given weekend, and
Yeah,
you
we
know,
had the same thing.
maybe 4 of whom would actually feel like going in the cave. And
One by one.
one by one, they've all, wandered off to other
Well,
things,
this
or
is exactly what happens, you know.
It's not an easy system.
Yeah.
It's just
It's not
No,
an
it
easy
beats
system.
people up.
It beats you up.
yeah.
then
and
when
it
they
takes a
find-
long time.
It takes a long
Yeah.
time to get to know it, like any big cave. And then, your group breaks up. Bill
Yep.
Storage moved to California, and John Ganner moved to New Mexico. Mike and Andrea Futrell found all the big, huge cave systems down in Sugar Run and Giles County, and then there was Omega. It's like, how can you compete with that stuff, I mean, everybody went off to other big caves, so
Yep.
that's life, So the
Yep.
cave will sit there patiently for another
Yep.
1,000
So-
years until...
So, we figured we lost our first caving group. We'd go manufacture our next one, since we
Well,
couldn't just readily pick them up anywhere.
Linda has 3 teenagers.
Oh, there you go.
Grooming them for this moment.
I could.
Oh, man.
But for the time, we did get Friars Hole way up on the,
Oh, yes.
the world's long cave list.
Oh, is it the top 10 or
7 or number 7, something like that.
There'd be huge
Which,
numbers of
which, you,
people come.
which you can't do anymore.
Yeah.
No, but
because
still in the
the
U.S.
numbers
though.
In the U.S., you're still number 6.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And
it's a great system for training you for other places. You get
Yep.
a
That
little bit of
training,
everything.
you break that south end. There should be another 40-some miles. Now you're maybe up at number 4 mile. caves.
Yeah, you gotta knock
To
Wind and
Robin's
Jewel
Run
off of that
at
list.
Friars is just the infeeder to the big.
Yeah, that's what Doug keeps telling us.
Robbins Run Valley drains above the top of the limestone where Robbins Run Hole is. It drains a little over 10 square miles. That's a pretty big drainage.
Mm-hmm.
And all that water is sinking in the bed. You see some of it in the bottom of Robbins Run Hole, but that sumps also downstream. And so that is not the holy grail that's going to take us to the underground Spring Creek. That's really the holy grail. That's what we're looking for, the underground Spring Creek, which goes dry upstream from Robbins Run Junction and stays dry all the way the heck down to Matt's Black Cave and the Estivelles and all that good stuff,
Yep.
several miles to the south. So what we want to do is get into the underground Spring Creek, Upper Spring Creek.
Mm-hmm.
And, we used to joke, and we still joke, the whole 45 miles or so of Friars Hole is just an infeeder to the really big system under Spring Creek. We're just in the,
Just a little infeeder.
just a little
Side passage.
passages, that's all. Let's get into the good stuff.
Anytime we're lucky enough. Well,
Hey, Ken.
What?
I was gonna say you have a. How's Noah doing? How old's he now? 18. 18. There you go.
there we go.
Should be bringing him down. You can stay. We'll let you stay back at the cabin if you offer up a replacement. Yes.
Yeah, pretty much.
And you can do the cooking. They'll be glad to come in.
Oh yeah, we'd be happy to come back to a hot meal.
Well, it'd be nice to find somebody to torture you for a change, Brian. Not that I ever did.
No, you did not. No, not once.
Exactly.
Curse the day. Oh,
But seriously, with VAR coming up, it's Friars Hole. Right?
Mhm,
So,
it is.
I mean, perhaps you could generate.
That's our hope.
That's why they're doing the talk.
Oh,
Yep.
You're on camera. You've been on camera. Your stories, you're going to be heard. In 4 weeks from now, all of this is going to
Oh no.
No.
This will take much longer to put together than that. We have a slideshow from the project that we've been working
You're not
on.
gonna do these interviews for 4 weeks from now?
No.
I would have wasted my time. We're on camera for the VAR here.
Now you get to sit around the campfire at VAR and tell stories.
Yeah, I think we're gonna do this again at VAR and try and see if we can, who's there and get a few more and some other things and some independent corroboration,
If you're really depressed about the fact it's not going to be shown in the next few weeks or so, hop, skip, and go naked here, you ought to drink some of that and it'll cheer you right
Oh,
up.
I know. That's my report. Until we're done. So then we can do it.
Hopefully you can generate some business.
I hope so.
That's kind of our hope. I guess we started putting the slideshow together, probably 2 years ago?
Yeah, just
And
about.
it was see if we could market it to some of the student grottos, anything. Just
We need some young folks who have some stamina and strength and are willing to
they're not
follow
too
us.
bright yet.
haven't figured out how much work that's going to be yet.
Now, who all was in the rubber chicken connection?
Which
Which
rubber
one?
chicken?
Well, okay.
Connection rocks.
Connection to
Yeah,
Snaggers.
with any of them. I mean,
Chuck Campbell,
Chuck Berry.
Barry Baumgartner, Bob Goulden, Bob Frun, me.
Well, that was the original servant.
Wait, when
in
we went into
Chicken.
Rubber Chicken, it took us a few trips to figure out, oh, well, here's a side passage. We connected it to the end of one of the side passages in Crookshank. So that was the first connection. So we had Snedeker, Crookshank, Rubber Chicken. Then came the Friars Hole connection, then came the Canadian Hole connection made by Canadians, and then finally two. So it all happened bing, bing, bing over 2 or 3 years. That was it. Guy, you may want to get in touch with me. If you're doing this, if you're doing like an oral history, and you can talk to you can talk to other people, talk to some of the Canadians, talk to Steve Worthington, who did his doctoral dissertation on Friars Hole, and was involved in a lot of the connections and stuff.
And he's still up in Ontario.
And he's still in Ontario with his geological consulting business. And John Morton and Annalise Reckley's the Canadians who physically connect him. Canadian Hole to the far end of the Rubber Chicken Highway.
Okay.
Okay, so there are I'll give you names later on of other people you can talk to.
That'd be great.
Dave Hughes in Georgia is doing a book on Luke Dickey. And he had the proofs of the convention.
Okay.
Oh, he had the proofs.
Yeah.
The whole, so it's Lou Bicking and all the things he did and his trips to Mexico and Friars Hole and other places. Okay. Be that as may, he and I were talking at the convention in Vermont. He has the idea of doing like a coffee table book sort of book on Friars Hole. Not a hell of a lot of text or not a boring blow by blow. On November 10th we did this connection. And on October 14th I made that great connection. All that shit. But sort of pictures of the cave and stories of some of the exploration and not a chronological narrative.
Mm-hmm.
And if you gather an oral history by, people like Linda and me and Gary and others, Hazel and Charlie, that could fit in very nicely. He could lift some of this stuff and
That would be great.
paraphrase it or put it into the book.
Sure.
I mean,
Yep.
he did a book on Bill Cuddington. He's doing so. The guy's got a track record. I mean, he's one of the early explorers also. He and Ed Strasser.
He used to come up from Georgia.
Used to come up from. They were in Baltimore. Then now they're in Georgia, and so they did a lot of early exploration also. He himself is a good source. Prime source. So Dave Hughes in Georgia is thinking about a book on Friars Hole, and
He wanted to take Ada's pictures of the stuff down in the cabin.
Oh, there's
And
some of
the
the
rubber
old
chicken
pictures.
There's a
pictures.
there's a
And
ton.
I know Ada has said there's a lot of the old pictures that I guess Gordon had taken or that he developed, and
Sure.
the negatives are sitting down, and she's offered up, somebody go through there and sort through this stuff.
Sort through them.
Yeah, I'd love to, and we just haven't had time. There's 100 things
100 things to do.
to do, and it's like, do I want to spend the day, sorting through photos, or do we want to try to get a cave trip in, or
Do the photos. Do the photos. Tell you
Yeah.
the truth.
to be honest, the cave trip will wait. Yep.
Point us reach where you say, if we don't do the photos, and we don't do the documentation of
Yep.
the oral history, the cave will be there.
Yep.
You may be older and more feeble. I know the thing,
It's exactly what you said
I'm in
before. The
Hawaii.
cave doesn't
Do I
give
wanna
up.
go out and survey lots of big virgin lava tubes, or do I want to sit with the HSS files and sort of sort them and go through them and look at who originally expounded and explored some of these lava tubes and what's in them? That's boring. I never do it.
No.
I mean, Don Kuhn's tried
He
to do it.
sometimes looks at them at home.
Because Helen gave you all these files. But still, it's worth doing. I didn't know that she had a lot of negatives in the old.
She has all the originals.
Yeah.
She has all the
Yeah, she's good.
That's good.
And it would, I don't know whether he kept them separate or not. Or if he just
I-
kept everything chronological or even just shoeboxes.
From what I gathered from talking with Ada, it's kind of a mystery to her
Okay.
how things are stored. So my guess is they're mixed in, whether it's chronological or something else.
He may have done them geographically.
Geographically, that's possible too.
Because for his business, he had to have them geographically.
Yeah, that may be the
Unless
case.
he had some kind of diary that he kept listed.
Yeah.
Because he would sometimes bring things for developers over 4 or 5 years.
Mhm.
Bring them up.
Okay.
You just gotta look.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
if it's a wet, dreary, miserable weekend in 4 weeks, we go up to Ada's house and we go.
There you go. We can all go through. Sounds fantastic.
Don't know what to hope for.
Yeah.
Actually, we'd better bring a light table if we're going to do that. Bring a light table in the back of the car.
What you need is some kind of scanner.
Well, you can do that after you've separated them.
Yeah, after you figured out what's
see
where.
what's what.
Yeah, we took all the photos that had been, all the prints that had been up in the lower field house.
Yeah.
We took them down because they were falling apart.
I know.
We took them down and scanned them on our own
Okay.
and laminated them and put them back in a binder down there now.
Yeah.
But at least we have a digital copy of those.
Yeah.
Was the sign for the Ontario Hydro still there?
Think so. Yeah, I don't think we messed with that,
Well, that should have a picture
but
too.
it should. It should. I'd like to do the same thing. The ones in the upper field house are getting the same way. They're just beating to hell and back. So.
If not, I'll stand back, take pictures of the pictures.
Yeah, I mean we've got a few, but especially if we could sort through the negatives, if she's got originals of any of those.
Now, you realize that some of the pictures from the field house were old school photoshopped.
Oh yeah,
Like, Bobby G wasn't here this weekend when I took the picture.
picture. So
Even though
we'll
he was
just
here the
paste him
weekend
in.
before, let's paste him in.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There was at least one that was done that way.
Oh my gosh.
It may have been Bill Jones. I don't remember who it was. Because the first trip was actually on a Wednesday. The first trip into the cave was a weekday.
Brian?
In the middle of the week.
Brian,
Because the cave was found on the weekend, and then
I need
We
to get
were
the
all so
battery.
excited. We got to the top of the 65 to drop our rubber chicken. We were all so excited. We all took off from work. So Golden and me and other people we drove down. We met Barry and other people there. Go.
Yeah.
I don't want to wait till Saturday. What's 3 more days? Come on, let's go.
It's not even as if you're near. I mean, you have to even drive.
Oh, you had to drive.
and that was before I-64 was in.
Oh gosh.
76, 64 wasn't in, all the way from Lexington to Lewisburg. The old bad old US 60 twisted, Hey,
Well, actually, a lot of times we just come down to the Marl.
Mhm.
much.
Well, good luck with it, guys.
Well, thanks.
Good luck. Do this. You might,
Everything's there. Yeah.
All right, Gary.
Most of my trips in Friars Hole, it was Doug and I surveying together, and him being the leader and directing things, and me being the person sitting around basically complaining about the trip. Doug used to always say that he knew I was in trouble when I stopped complaining. This is a role that Brian and I took over in a later cave where Brian would be the one complaining. It was just sort of a tradition in caving. But one exception to that led to the Droughtway Passage. I had been staring at the map, and you have the streamway that comes down in through Snedeker's and winds around, and it comes across, and you've got the Rubber Chicken stream coming together at this like 90-degree bend, and then this little thing sticking out to the northwest. Just like, obviously, like these two streams come together and go that way, and it sumps. It's Tom's sump. So we got a group together, 7 or 8 of us. Bill Stone
You're fine. Help yourself.
brought some scuba tanks, and I remember Roy Jameson helped haul things. John Zidian came down with me from Pittsburgh. We got a real late start because I wanted to watch something, a miniseries end on TV Friday night. So we got in at like 5 o'clock in the morning. And at 7, Bill got us up. He was sorting gear. We went into the cave, and we went in through Snedeker's. We just kept going downstream, and there's what, sump along the way. What is that, Doug Sump, and down to Tom Sump.
Yeah, Rick Sykes, Doug Sump, Ear Sump. They just went on.
Yeah, they just went on, and we get down there, so we get down to the place where we're gonna do the dive, and I step out into the one pool, and there's all this, you know, decay gas coming up, methane and everything. We're all using carbide glasses and back off from that. And while Bill is getting kitted up, Roy Jameson decides to just kind of poke ahead. And so he goes along, and he goes, and he goes, and he goes, and it was very dry that year, and it opened up.
It was the Droughtway.
Okay, and so Tom Sump, on that day, there were like 298 feet of passage. And you would lay with your head on the side, and you know, we had ears. I remember the terms ear sump, and there was an eye sump, and there was a nose sump. So there's some of these places, you know, with your head on the side, your carbide lamp up against the ceiling, you know,
Scraping along.
just, you know, leaving a trail, and hopefully not making any waves, because when you've got this much airspace, you need all you can get. When we got through on the other side, there's a big rock that had kind of dammed things up there. There's no way to obviously dig around it, you know, you need quite a bit of explosive or something to create a channel. But then the passage opened up. So naturally, we could all go in, and we just started going downstream. We had no survey gear with us because all we expected was just for Bill to get through and say it goes somewhere or it doesn't go. And for this low sump, would have been a very dangerous dive, low, wide, easy to get off route. And we just got lucky on it. And as we went downstream, it was wearing wetsuits for the cold. With big borehole, you're starting to overheat. So anytime we got a chance to swim and float in a pool or lay in the stream and float downstream, we were doing that. A couple of restrictions along the way, and down at the end of it, there's just huge borehole passage, and there's logs, you know, like 30 inches in diameter, wedged 80 feet up on the walls. You know, you're gonna wonder, like, how did those things get down here and so forth? And then in the next 3 weeks, I think there were 2 survey trips where they went in and surveyed everything, and I wasn't able to make that. I think you were on
Yeah, I
one of
was
those.
on both of them.
Okay, so you could maybe talk about those.
Well, no, I just, of course, Doug, whenever there's passage, it's like, you guys have to go. We found this great stuff. Harry and company went and did this thing.
Well, nothing's
Something's
changed.
passable. So we went in because, of course, we always listened to Doug. And we always were doing everything Doug said to do.
No, well, I did 2 trips through there at the same time. When you went ahead, I did 1 trip with Alan Fincher, the old-time brick paver, and we drug shovels and crowbars and tools through all the sumps in an effort, a futile effort, to dig open the downstream end of Tom's sump.
Okay.
What Gary was talking about. We spent several hours, and then we got lost coming back in the sump. Weighted down with crowbars and, you know,
I didn't know about this.
shovels and a hammer for chipping rocks and chisels, and we're lost. The thing is, you wanted to stay out in the middle where the ceiling was a little higher, even though you couldn't see the walls. And we, of course, wanted to be, let's stay near a wall. That's our security. You stay near the wall going out of the sump, and it goes like that. You really want to be 50 feet off to your right, which we finally figured out. So we did get out. And another trip I did, a survey trip with Patty Marcus and Ron Simmons, we surveyed everything just beyond Tom's sump into some side passages. And I'll never forget, we go about 100, 150 feet past Tom Sunk, and the cave splits. Everybody goes downstream to the left. Well, Ron and I went straight ahead for about another 40, 50 feet. What looked like a dead end, but it wasn't a dead end, because off on the right, there was this, and it's still unexplored, there was this lovely passage. It was like a canyon like that, big enough, you know, body size, and we shone our lights and our flashlights up, and it was just black. It just went and went. And when you plot it up on the map, it's just going out into huge unknown. I mean, there's nothing any place near. It's not going to connect to anything. Canadian Hole is still a couple of miles away. And that is, if I have one more trip ever in a Friars Hole, is to go back to all these, just get through the other side of Tom Sunk. You don't have to go down to the mid-room and to the bitter end, and that beautiful big paleo mud-filled trunk that nobody's followed to an end. I just want to go back into this one side passage.
I didn't know about that. I think, but I know you had sent us down because you told us about Gary and Bill and all that doing the initial push.
The cave's
through.
open. Go for
Right,
it.
go
We may
for
not have
it.
this opportunity
And
again. We
because-
haven't.
Right, exactly.
That's the problem.
I think I remember at the time, I don't know if I remember this right, but I think we tried to do a calculation of trying to even do that downstream part, and I think we tried to add up the amount of sumps, like if you count the near sumps and ricks and toms and all, is it about 1,000 feet? I think we figured it's about 1,000 feet of sumps.
Yes.
And we figured it was 2,300 feet of crawl.
Hands and knees crawling.
Hands
And
knees
it's on
crawling,
cobbles.
On
Cobbles.
cobble crawling. So we were thinking, okay, 1,000 feet of sums, 2,300 feet of cobble crawling. Of course, you're in wetsuits, so that helped a little bit with your knees. But it was pretty difficult to get down
It was
there. But
hard. It was very
I didn't know
grueling.
about your trip. So Doug, I don't know whether your trip was before the trip we did. It was Bob Anderson, Patty Mathis, myself, and it might have been Ron Simmons. I can't remember. I think there was Ron on that too. And the first trip we did was 3,800 feet of survey.
Yeah.
And I remember that it was great, and Patty was so cute because she was like, guys, we're near 100 survey stations, so we've got to get to 100 survey stations.
I used that line with my wife out in Hawaii.
We were running out of passage, and it's if you go down there, it's immensely wide, immensely tall. It's like unbelievable, and you're just trucking down this thing, and it's great. But it was starting to get kind of small and getting kind of, and like Bob and I are like, Patty, I don't think we can get to 100 survey stations. Doesn't kind of fake it or something. And she's like, no, and she was poking everywhere. Like there was like some little crawl here and some little thing, and we added a couple of side things trying to get to number 8,100, I think it was. And finally, she's going up this very small tube on her stomach to set like station 100, and she's like, I don't believe this. Like, it continues. I mean, where she was, she thought it was going to finish, but somewhere along the line, and we were sitting back, so we didn't know what was going on, but she found a way on, and then we went back. It might have been the next weekend. I'm not sure. I have to check dates or something. And we surveyed 4,200 feet the next weekend, so continuing past. So that was another great couple trips.
I mean, that whole thing was like 10,000 feet.
Wow.
Down
And
into the cave.
in the deepest part of the cave at the time.
Yeah, the deepest part of the cave.
So there's immensely wonderful passage. Wide, tall.
It's your dream of what you want to find in West Virginia. I remember
That's
coming
okay.
How does that go?
This is a lot
Wide,
than that.
tall.
Yeah, but remember, there's a half a mile to a mile of cobble
We had a
crawl.
lot of
And sumps, and
Sumps.
we weren't. They're just in the working part. You
Yeah.
haven't gotten to your good stuff yet.
Coming out the cobble crawl on the discovery trip and getting into the amphitheater room in Snedeker's, and I was kind of out in the lead. As I said, I'd done all this in 2 hours of sleep, and I'm just kind of falling asleep there. And I'm looking up the Snedeker's trunk, which I've been in hundreds of times, but I'm saying, I think that's the way out.
I hope.
But I'm going to wait for the others.
Right.
And then I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden the passage behind me is just like lit up like the sun is coming through. Bill Stone, of course, hadn't gotten to do his dive, and so he had these 3 super bright dive lights, and so he's going up caving with 3 dive lights on his helmet, all turned on. And, it's just the entire cave is lit up. And, sure enough, yes, that big 60-foot square passage was the way out of the cave.
Yeah, not just on the side.
It wasn't, this is what I remember, but that was a great discovery.
But it's a
Some
little
of them-
weird when you're in Tom Sump. I mean, I found it weird because it's very wide.
Oh, it's very.
Yeah,
You
it's
can't
like
see
you
the
have 4
walls.
inches of airspace from the the surface of the water, and so you really are like nose or eye. Like I have
And
contact
the water's
lenses.
not that deep. I mean, you're like crawling way into
Yeah,
it.
but you're not sure where you're going.
You don't know where you're
No,
going.
not
I don't know how Roy made it through the first time without just going in and going around in a
Well, you're in
circle.
circles.
I never see Roy again.
You can easily, because there's two out in the middle of you're going downstream with the Crookshank sump, and then off to the left in the middle of this Tom sump is the this rubber chicken stream.
water coming in.
So I mean, so you could easily end up going upstream the wrong way and going up the rubber chicken trunk. Now I got an extra couple of miles of cave to do to get the hell out, back down to the sump and find your way through. It is not an easy sump,
It's awful.
And
Thank
you
goodness
and
you didn't have
Roy
to
did
dive
that,
it.
right? We did the survey downstream rubber chicken to Tom Sump from the rubber chicken side, and then around and back upstream.
I didn't go back upstream on that. No,
Yeah,
I've
you
gone-
did.
I don't think so. I've never been to Rick Sump. We mapped Crookshank down
Oh,
to
okay.
Rick's.
Then we just surveyed rubber chicken downstream until I recognized I saw a survey station. Like, oh, we connected to Crookshank.
Right.
And then we went back out rubber chicken. Which is probably the smarter.
Yeah. Yes.
Those were great. That was a great pass. Oh no, I'm fine.
Another fun.
It's called Hops Get to Go Naked.
Well, we have other things too.
Yes,
Thanks, Barbara.
We need stronger lemonade.
we do.
I remember
We do.
It's not bad.
4th of July or some holiday weekend, Bob Jeffries and Bill Stone were bouldering in Monster Cavern trying to go up the waterfall. And Doug and I just did a normal standard 8-hour survey trip somewhere in Friars Hole that day.
Yeah.
And came out and John Zidian was down there and he says, Gary, we want to take some pizza in to the guys that are doing the bouldering at Monster Cavern. And, I just done an 8-hour cave trip, and so I said, no, there's a slideshow tonight. Doug's showing slides. I want to see the slideshow. I figured this is a good excuse, I'll get out of this. So as soon as the slideshow's over, it's 10 o'clock. John looks at me and says, well, how about now? What's your excuse? And I couldn't think of anything. I said, okay, let's go caving.
Oh no!
So about 10 o'clock at night, we go into the cave and we go down. Everything's pre-rigged. There's ladders and all the drops and Canadian. And we go in and we do the crossover crawl and go down in. And finally, I think Bob Jeffries is up on the wall and Bill Stone's belaying and we're talking. I said, they ran into a problem. They had dropped a bolt driver. Okay? And says, says, this is our last one. I said, don't you have another? I said, yeah, we have one up in camp. I said, oh, well, we'll get it for you. Where is it? He says, well, it's on the floor of the passenger side of the pickup truck. Oh, you mean the camp on the surface? I was volunteering to go to the other end of the room. And so John and I kind of looked at each other. It was like, well, what the heck? So we go out and we get to the bottom of the 5th drop in Canadian Hole, and we're both using carbide, and how the water comes spraying down there, and there's ladders there, so both of our lights go out. So, but we're holding the rope, and I was like, here's the rope, and he ties in, and he climbs the ladder, and I belay him in the dark, and then I tie in, and he belays me up, and then we went up the 4th, the slot pitch, and then we did the manhole.
Yeah.
Okay, 3 drops, went out the crawlway, and then we lit a carbide lamp. So 3 vertical shafts on ladders, belaying each other. Nobody on the party has a light turned on. Got out to the surface. It's about 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, and Linda had waited up. She was so worried about us going in so late. So she runs up, and she just looks at me and she's like, oh, I'm so glad to see you too. You made it safely. I know how tired you were and everything. And I just looked at her and I said, we're going back. And she's like, no. And I said, they dropped the bolt driver. They need one out of the truck. Somebody's got to take it into them. And Bob Anderson says, well, sure as hell isn't going to be me. So we we go back in the cave, poor Linda is sitting out there. She's now going to wait up for us to come out again. But we took the whole thing back in, repeated the whole process, and it was like about an hour in, an hour out. I mean, we were moving fast. And,
You know the route, you have that crossover passage.
we did the crossover passage coming in, but we came out the normal route coming out.
Yeah.
Both trips. And
Yeah,
the
that's
two of us, knew the cave, moving fast. We were all caving a lot at that time. We all had our act together.
Right.
And we came back out at about 8 o'clock in the morning. It was like, okay, this time you're staying out.
No.
They eventually got, what, about 700 feet of passage at the top there, something like that?
Yeah, they got passages.
That had been like the fourth try because I think I was on the third trip. I don't remember who did the first trip in, but it was a first trip, and it's difficult at the passage because it's quite overhanging. So you probably need a Bill Stone and a Bob Jeffries caliber climbers to do that.
Well, they were pictures of that, and when Roy Jameson saw the pictures, they were putting hooks over these exfoliation slabs that, by all rights, you should be able to just pull right off the wall. And Roy's just looking at that and says, "Do you know what you were hanging on? Are you nuts?"
Yeah, right.
And of course, Bob knew exactly what he was doing. He was very good at that, but it's a dicey climb.
My pressure was the right direction.
Well, the thing is, I gave them a lot of credit. They probably didn't trust what the first three trips had done, but there'd been a first trip in there, and I don't recall who was on that. There'd been a second trip by Boston Grotto who had gone and tried to take what the first trip had done and get to that point and then bolt up some more. And then I was on a trip, and I just Ron Simmons, I can't remember who else, Bob Anderson. That was a 23-hour trip, and we didn't make that much headway on that trip. But we had done what the first trip had done, the Boston Grotto folks had done, and we got into the third section, we added a few feet, and then when we found out that Stone and Jeffries were going to go in, we said, well, we've had 3 trips full, and we've gotten up this far, but I don't know whether they just didn't trust what everybody else had done. They said, that's okay, we're just going to start from the bottom. And I'm thinking to myself, gosh, all this effort's been put in to go up as far as we had, but they know what they're doing, and they just started from the bottom, so, hats off to them for being able to do it. And for you guys for being crazy enough to go in.
On the lead count, we had, it was always like about 140 leads in the cave. Year after year after year. That number never really changed very much.
The quality of the leads went down.
And you check off a lead, you check off a lead, you check off a lead, and the lead split into 4 leads.
Yeah.
It kept going on and on and on like that.
Right, that's how we kept accumulating footage.
And every once in a while you get a big one, it suddenly gives you some good leads again.
Well, that's pretty much how Mockland worked out. We went through checking off leads, checking off leads, checking off leads. We had this one stupid pool of water left, and that's what it was marked as on the map, was a pool of water. And what the hell, we'll check it one more time. And and Don Bennett was the one. He's like, yeah, we'll go down.
Disappears into nowhere all the time.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, my nickname for him is Don Where the Hell He Go Bennett. So
and it's like, hey Don, what's up? And he's like, it's dry.
like,
Yeah,
right.
Got up there and it was not quite dry, but the whole first probably
10-15 feet of it were
at least
completely dry.
That's good.
And then you got down in and you were about hip deep on me, so
There's a great
not
picture
too
of
bad.
Ken sitting in there waiting for me to check the sump out the one time.
Oh, yeah.
Ken's like, he's just sitting in just oozing gooey mud and water up to here and just sitting there like,
and the only piece of brine you can see is this little tiny reflection of a light on the water way, like 300 feet down the sump. And it was closed.
It was closed too.
yeah.
This is the problem. We did a bunch of trips to Rick's siphon, subsequent to the Droughtway year when all that good stuff got surveyed down there. And you get way out into it, shit, it's closed. We can't get through. All that work for nothing.
The cobble crawls.
Yep.
The cobble crawls, and back out. I'm like, oh man, I'm willing to try to get next month if it stays dry. If it's dry. I'll do a tourist trip to Rick's Siphon, but if it's open, I'll go through it.
I tell you what, the year that we made it through the south end sump, most likely the dropway stuff was open. It was so low.
Yeah, but we had no cavers
Yeah.
working
No.
the system.
No,
No.
You know,
That's always the problem.
You can't have cavers on call year after year, decade after decade. You know, saying, well, looks like this is the year.
Yeah.
there's just no stamina. I mean,
No staying power anymore, huh?
Oh, yeah. For some reason, go caving elsewhere. That's it.
Well, I mean, I don't know how many times people have. So we're going to get into new stuff.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know.
It would
Yeah,
be
yeah,
new if we knew.
October 5th, 2010, we're going to map 10,000 feet.
I wish. Oh, that'd be great.
Well, what the hell? If we can get people to show up, that's the first
Just
thing.
get them to show up.
The 5th is Monday.
Yeah.
Fourth. Yeah.
That's the VAR we do.
The 5th is either Monday or Tuesday, I forget which.
The our
Yeah.
weekend is October 2nd, is that Saturday.
I know I'm going to be in Vancouver on the 5th.
Okay.
We'll be down for the weekend.
Okay, I'll see what I can do with the cave guard, see if we can get that 10,000 feet moved, delivered.
Delivered a little earlier.
FedEx it, pay for Saturday delivery.
So great.
You should do a
Well,
commemorative
Dusty
toothpick connection trip.
Groom says
Go
he
back
has
into
some
a big
stuff in the
bundle.
saltpeter maze. That's new. It's not on the survey.
What?
Dusty's.
Oh,
The
Dusty's.
saltpeter.
Dusty Goulden was down there with Bob recently, and they were in the saltpeter maze. Okay, so this is PUD stuff right
This
near
is
the
here?
entrances.
Yeah.
What?
Okay.
And he went off into the. He did something in the saltpeter maze that got into passage, which, although not virgin, was not on the map because Bob has the main map
Right, right.
first, Snedders. And like they're off the map, and he's got multiple levels and passages that haven't been surveyed. So that's something for the VAR. Put a group
That's awesome.
there to just
And that's close to the end.
That's
This is the place. I'm sorry I'm an hour late.
Yeah, it's all right.
I'm lost talking to people.
We did not miss you.
Wait a minute.
Keep walking. It's okay. Because all you're gonna do is talk.
I'm not good at
Anybody ever
that.
tell you talk too much? Me. I talk too much. We all talk too
I've
much.
been told that myself
I know.
on occasion.
You tell yourself.
Well, there's
"Look at
a-
me."
And I'm also
Well, I
either
should say
talking or
right
not
off,
talking,
Moss
Better
depending
talk
on-
than not talk.
depending on my mood.
Start on water at the beginning of. I guess it's just before you get into it. Is it just before you get into Moss Discovery?
Oh yeah, I was
Stuff goes
Doug. This is what I was telling you about before.
goes right into,
It's on Mox and it's just
The water goes off. It's like water goes off. It's like, has anybody surveyed it? It's like, no, it's not on the map. We went down there, surveyed it, drops you right top of Barbara's room. What we thought might have been top of Barbara's room. So we took, I don't know, what, 10, 15 foot
Hop,
piece
skip,
of
and go.
flagging paper.
What is it?
hung
Hop,
it
skip,
down
and go
into
naked.
the,
Let's try some.
around
It's
the
great.
Barbara's room,
Yeah,
shut down.
yeah, we'll
Okay.
get you drunk.
We
I'll
just-
try it. I'll try it.
make
Tiny
it
little
back
sip.
right away.
yeah. I was gonna say I'll try just a little.
I'm an amateur drinker.
That piece of flagging tape that we hung into Barbara's room was now washed
Hop,
down.
skip, and a jump.
into
Hop, skip,
Moss
and go naked.
Discovery.
Hop, skip, and go naked. What do
So
you do?
Barbara's room
Uh,
had backed
high tech.
Yeah, drunk first.
Yeah, drunk first. Okay.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
You want some too?
I mean,
Yeah.
it's admissible, what,
It's like a shot or two.
100 feet of survey
That's
that is
Okay.
in.
Let me give it a test.
It's about a third vodka. So.
Yeah,
Right,
not even just
okay.
feet, but just
So
survey.
about 100 feet from just from Mark's Discovery over to this pit to the top of Barbara.
Nice bouquet. Oh, it has hints of
Watching the
booze.
breakdown in Barbara's room, I was in there with Barb Schomer, and she crawled back into breakdown a ways, and then the breakdown shifted, of course, and walked out the way that she had come in. So it became a refining effort. Unfortunately, Barb, she don't like about this tall. She's able to walk in
Hey, now some of us
very
resemble
tight
that remark.
tight places and so forth to get out, but it's a shifty area.
I was in there with you and Roberta Sweisman.
Yeah, we
we
were
surveyed it to Barbara's room, and we were looking for a way on because it's on the fault, and it's right on top of, very close to the upstream end of all the new stuff that they found in the water world. And if you could dig down through Barbara's room, through the breakdown, and get to that passage, you don't have to deal with that stinking sump that they have to put up with at the far end.
Right.
You know?
But that breakdown in there is not the, oh gee, I'm going to pick up pieces and
Oh,
throw
no,
it to the
no.
side. It's like, you know, bring in a
Big
crane and
yeah.
Well,
it's easy to say, but
there are two things. Going into Barbara's room, it had this wonderful description on how to get to Barbara's room.
It's not that hard.
No. There's this nice phreatic tube that you go through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stay with the water. Just keep spiraling down
Yeah.
with the water,
phreatic tube.
and then you leave it in a phreatic tube.
No.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
jagged razor rock.
I surveyed it. He surveyed it. It was easy. It was just
Yeah.
highway.
See, when we lose a cave pack, one pair of coveralls.
Overalls. Yeah. I think Grace lost a pair of boots in there. I'm not sure. It was evil.
Yeah. It's not a nice typical phreatic. Nice.
Throwaway stuff.
Yeah.
Unfixable.
It's a little phreatic too. There were even some little side leaves going on with it that we didn't survey into. So, doing that crawl at the top of our roof.
Yeah.
Well, the other part of that was there's some really nice calcite, pink calcite
Yeah.
that is now gracing.
Yes, there's pink calcite on the slicken sides there.
Yep.
on the
Yep.
floor plan. I know that.
Yes.
I remember that very clearly.
Yeah.
Yep. It's very pretty.
So why would it be pink? Is that just one of the trace minerals that's in it?
Yeah, something.
I mean,
It's
I've never heard of pink. I think I've seen some, but I've never really thought of what mineral made it pink.
yeah, it's probably a potassium hydroxide combination.
Okay.
staining them. Actually, up in that corner of the camp, there's a piece of gravel in the road that has some of that pink slicken slice.
That's left over from. That's left over.
I don't know what was
That's
it
left over from Rome's daughter using. She spilled a reagent there when she was doing dye tracing, and that's where the potassium hydroxide came from. At least that's what I used to use for reagent was potassium hydroxide.
Well, I used the KOH to buffer the ethanol.
Right,
Put the traps in.
right. It helps it release the fluorescein back into it, into
Well,
the
yeah,
ethanol.
well,
That's how I
I
remember.
think it lowered the pH. Well,
Okay.
maybe it raised the pH.
But that's what
It raised the pH.
Raised pH.
that's one of the ingredients
Way
is
up.
potassium
I don't know,
hydroxide.
way up.
So for whatever reason, that helped elutriate the fluorescein and get it.
Elutriate.
It's absorbed.
Ooh, what a word!
Absorbed on the surface of the
He
activated
clearly has not had enough to drink.
I'm gonna write a testimonial and send it to Pylam Products in Long Island City for sale with fluorescein.
He pretends he's a chemical engineer.
Well, it
That's
sounds
why
like it.
he's
You know,
doing
Chemical engineering degree required to watch this
eluciate.
video.
Eluciate. I've never heard that. That's a brand new. We'll play Scrabble with you.
Well, as I said, yeah. I mean, why do you have to go through all that? It's been on at least one dye tracing trip with Hempel.
Turns everybody's water
Well,
green.
you know, I've had a
Yeah, he basically pissed off a nice beaver. I forget it. What cave was that? Shoot, it's just south here near 4-H.
Mennonite youth camp.
4-H club.
Said,
I'm trying to think the name of it.
I once had a pound of fluorescein.
Anyway, Murray and I were going out
Forever.
setting dye traps. And he's on some small little cave. He's going to do a dye tracing. So basically, the side valley that Hempel and his ex-wife Jennifer was in. Second.
Yeah.
Anyway, he said they dumped stuff in. So John Murray and I started sending dye traps, everything from there down. Go down quite a ways.
What's this?
Run out of dye traps.
I have no idea. Probably empty.
Tasty, but
coming on the other
you
side
can definitely
of
tell
the
it's got alcohol in it.
valley, there's
It's very
a
tasty.
it will put
beaver
you back.
head
And
over
actually,
the dam, locked up.
Right after
It affects me. I'm not a
Sorry.
drinker. It affects me way differently than most people.
Oh, that's neat.
normally
Walked
there's
up a little bit
more
further, came
lemon
down.
in it,
Right.
so you
Next
don't
thing you
taste
know,
it quite as much.
The dye
It
was coming
tastes
out
like
there.
just
It was Sun Valley
good
curve.
lemonade.
It's still tasty.
Hydrologically.
Yeah.
I had, I don't know, this
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
I can feel it.
Yeah,
I'm
Hempel was like,
hypersensitive.
oh
I don't
hell,
drink.
we
I
didn't
usually
need dye
don't drink
traps
at all.
anyway.
Yeah, this is
So it's
its official name is Hop, Skip, and Go Naked. It's affectionately referred to as Trip, Stagger, and Stumble.
Those are both pretty good names.
Slur.
Slur.
Slur. I'm sure if you drank half of what's in here, you'd probably be
Oh,
flurrying.
if you set yourself back, one full cup of that, maybe a little more, you'll have a really good entertaining evening.
Well, except that I don't like the effect.
Oh yeah.
I like entertaining other people, but I want to
Oh
entertain
yeah.
myself.
Well, that's true.
Right. And the idea of drinking is to have a good time. For you to have a good time, not everybody else to have a good time.
Yep.
I've seen a guy, one of my friends got so drunk that we stopped by a drugstore, bought India ink and painted his whole face black, and then took him home. We don't want
I've got to give the status on the overall bulletin. So,
and we were
by the way,
Yeah, and they were like,
everyone that comes out after that,
I don't like that either. My mother does.
it's great.
There's an idea.
You can do just about anything.
so that's been nice. So, I wrote number 10, like a 17, I've just been playing free coffee. I was just walking by today, Ray Gardner says, Gary, do you want your free coffee now? And I was coming over to ask him, is that free coffee deal still going?
That's awesome.
liquid slop.
Oh, wow.
And there's a place where you have to climb up about a 4-foot bank after standing in
Meanwhile, we're going to run down Vendor's House and find some people. We were thinking of having a party up on the point, but Ken and I went up there.
Yeah.
And
Oh, I know.
you think it's windy down here today, up on that point. We can't go far up there tonight.
Okay.
There's no way.
Well, maybe it'll be coming tomorrow.
No party up there.
Well, thanks for coming, Gary.
fall back down into the mud slop, which is about knee deep or thigh deep. It's really
I don't mind just saying.
like liquid. It's not solid. It's liquid mud, not liquid, not water, and not mud. It's between the two. It's amazingly bad. I was in this cave with a friend of mine a couple of years ago, and we're in the back of the cave. And we meet 4 or 5 Mennonites back there.
Where's John?
And there's 3 women, and they're wearing helmets, and they got electroplates, carbide lights, and they're all wearing dresses. And they're in the back. It's in an area where there's...
Oh, they cranked it up.
There you go.
All right, there we go. Oh, that's great. All right, go for it, Chuck.
Well, here on a cold night at Old Timers, I have been thrown down and thrashed by Barb to relate stories of our younger days. And the selection she has chosen tonight is the story of Death Pit. This is Death Pit in Gordon's Hollow, in his valley, about 300 feet from the dynamite shed, better known as the barn. And we had been digging sinkholes for, many, many months, and digging and not getting in. We had been digging in this one particular sinkhole, which had been filled for probably every year for the past 20 years with barbed wire, dead carcasses, and rocks of various shapes and sizes. And we were digging and digging and digging for some weekends. And finally we decided we had had about enough of this. And I proposed that proper and judicious application of high explosives was in order. Now we had Albert Ogden along. Albert is our noted geology PhD student who looked like a white man with an afro haircut. And Albert was also going to be on the next shot our lead digger. So we'd gone in and we set off a couple of small shots, and it was boom, and a little bit of dirt flew, and not really impressive. So we decided it was time to get serious about this project. And we happened to have, a couple cases stored in the secret magazine. So we went down and we got about 25 or 30 sticks out. We had a couple of old bags of ammonium nitrate and fuel oil. And if anybody remembers the Oklahoma City bombing, that's about what they had to cause that major bombing. Is a few bags of ammonium nitrate and something to kick it in the butt. So we went in and we spent about 2 hours going down in this cup-shaped sinkhole that was down maybe 4 feet from where we'd started. With pry bars and everything that we could do, we put about 5 fairly large holes and filled them with dynamite and ammonium nitrate and fuel. And we got all set up, and we strung 300 feet of wire back to Gordon Mathis' tractor, which was sitting out in the field, and actually out a little bit beyond that. And we said, told everybody clear the area, and they all went up on the road at Gordon's, which is about 50 feet in elevation higher and easily a quarter-mile away. And looked like crows sitting on a fence line. And I'm saying, get ready, and everybody say, okay, go ahead, Chuck. They've seen these little things that we've been doing all day. And they're just, we kind of just threw little rocks. I said, no, this one's going to be big. Everybody take cover. And they're like, no, we're good, Chuck. We're behind you. Like, all right, guys. So anyway, I yelled, fire in the hole, and dove for the tractor. Well, I quickly realized that we had perhaps been a little bit too energetic with our explosives that day, because I looked up and it was a mushroom cloud going up a la Nagasaki. And I looked up and I went, oh shit. Looking at this trajectory, I was entirely in the wrong position, because this cloud was going up and it was going like this. And big rocks were coming out. Rocks like basketball size. And I quickly calculated and decided there was no way to outrun it. So the only thing I could do is run for the charge. Run to the explosion center, because it had cleared that area already. And I took off running just as fast as my little butt could carry me. Unfortunately, there was only little rocks coming down. And as I'm running as hard as I can, I realized that I was in the safe zone. And I turned to look behind me to see 50 crows going in all directions, because they were getting out of that impact area, which was the road up on the hill. And I mean, it's not a little impact area. It looked like people were shitting and getting, assholes and elbows, just in every direction. And I saw one huge rock, and I'm talking, half the size of a picnic table rock, separate itself from the rest of the mushroom cloud that's spreading out. And it goes over the road, goes up and hits the top of the hill. And everybody's like, oh, and they're running and ducking other things that are coming. And then we're hearing this ka-thump, ka-thump, crash, crash, ka-thump. And I was in a position I could see this, because I could see the whole hillside. Those people on the road couldn't look up because of the trees and the brush. And this big old rock has started rolling down the hill. Well, it's rolling down the hill to Crow's Roost. And it's come crashing down, and wham, it took out a barbed wire fence. That didn't slow it down at all. It came roaring right down, and I'm yelling at them, run for your lives, run, big rock, coming back. And they're like, what the hell is he talking about? There's nothing in the air anymore. Because they're all laughing because they've survived this experience. And here comes this big-ass rock. A couple of people look back when they hear trees crashing, these little scrub trees that he had. And you hear, oh, shit, run! People ran again, and this thing came all the way down to the valley and impacted in the fence at the bottom of the valley. And we allowed is that we had moved some rock. I mean, we moved several tons of dirt and rock and everything. But everybody came down to see it, and it wasn't very good. I mean, it was good. We moved a lot of rock, but we needed some cleanup shots. So we were getting ready to do the cleanup shots. And this is a major impact crater now. I mean, this thing is 20 by 20 by 10 deep. And Albert says, oh, I'll get in and throw some of the debris out. And Albert's tossing debris, and then we hear this blood-curdling scream. Albert had unearthed a rock, and this rabbit came leaping out, bounced off of Albert, and took off running. He had been living down in this sinkhole, and this crazy-ass rabbit had scared the bejesus out of Albert. absolutely scared him to death. The boy's hair went straight. He screamed, ran back, and we're all watching this rabbit going like, staggering through as fast as he can. We're laughing our butt off because Albert's like laying on the ground holding his heart. and we finished cleaning the hole and tried to continue on. But this is the same hole that 10 weeks later or something we're still fooling around with it when it tried to capture Medville and tried to kill a couple of us. And one, we were way down in it. A rock broke free and came down and cut the wires next to one of our blasting caps 6 inches in front. So it got the name Death Pit. It also grabbed one guy by the boot while he was kicking a hole through, and we had to abandon the boot there, or the tennis shoe I guess it was, kind of a boot-like tennis shoe. We later dug that out and put it on a plaque and awarded it at the Baltimore Grotto banquet to the person who had lost that boot.
Was that Doug Medville?
I don't know whether it was Doug or one of the other guys. I don't remember who it was, but we had somebody limping across the field with one shoe off for that trip. But that's the story of Death Pit.
Thank you much.
And how many people approximately were there that weekend?
Oh, there was at least 25 or 30.
And were they all there for just caving, or were they there to help with
Whatever we
digging?
wanted to do. Digging, caving, watch Chuck blow up the world. I mean, there was at least 25, but it runs in my mind that we had a hell of a group.
And was Gary there, and Barry, and
Barry was. I imagine Gary was, but I don't remember. I mean, I was a little busy, you might imagine. I wasn't going, oh, there's Gary over there on the ridge. He's not running as fast as Barry over here. It was like, oh, shit, and people ran both ways. But there is actually a videotape in existence of that shot. And I believe Hazel knows where that is.
Awesome.
How you doing?
Telling lies, a videotape.
Every time I see you, you're down here videotaping people.
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't let me embellish, so I had to tell it straight.
Yes.
Well, Chuck, I told you you can embellish it next time.
Thanks, Chuck.
Thank you very much.